It's the end of the week. And if you still feel like you missed a memo, congratulations. That's not a bug, that's a feature. Because this week wasn't confusion by accident, this week was confusion by design. The system is running one of its favorite Pakistani programs. Create noise, float 10 theories, leak 12 signals, deny all of it, and then blame public for being confused. Classic. Welcome to Fourth Blow Post. So let's do what our political class refuses to do. Ignore the decoration and focus on structure. The structure is this. The establishment is now openly in mood for a compromise. But only if Imran Khan comes to the table already weakened. Not compromised with him. Compromise from him. As usual, as always, because they are not yet forced to do so, which they will be because of how the world politics is changing. See, they want him to show up as a corrected version of himself. Quieter, safer, domesticated. That's the kind of Khan that doesn't exist. And this is why everything you have been hearing, national government, Wonder Boy, 5 elders, CBMs, disowning, all the revolutionary accounts, reconciliation, is basically one sentence wearing different outfits. Khan, they're asking Khan, please break your own spine politely so we can call it stability. Now let's talk about the week's biggest comedy, the Wonder Boy stories. Every time Pakistan hits a wall, talk shows start auditioning candidates like it's Pakistan's idol. Somebody is always coming. Somebody is always acceptable. Somebody is always the future. This week it was Wonder Boy, national government, maybe Bilawal, maybe Mohsen Naqvi, maybe reshuffle, maybe miracle. Pakistan doesn't run on miracles. Pakistan runs on arrangements. Pakistani politics works on arrangements. So let's take Bilawal as a Wonder Boy. Example. If there is an even half serious thought about bringing him into centerpiece, then what is the price tag for the PPP? Something like constitutional redesign. People are throwing 28th Amendment in air like it's a press release. But 28th Amendment doesn't mean Bilawal becomes the Prime Minister. 28th Amendment means provinces, administrative units, NFC, water changes, departments, meaning Sindh gets negotiated like a property file. Now tell me with a straight face, will People's Party sign up for a deal where Sindh gets slides, NFC gets touched, provincial control gets diluted, and Pakistan People's Party is supposed to clap and say, yes sir, this is a national unity? No, Pakistan People's Party can do many things, but self-slaughter isn't one of them. Pakistan People's Party's real game this week was simpler. They smelled the wind. They felt the system is thinking. So they started waving hands. Speeches here, praises there, reconciliation year tweet by Bilawal. 2026 is going to be reconciliation year. Benazir's anniversary events where the stage is for Benazir, but the applause is suspiciously for Field Marshal Jalal Simoni. That's not ideology, that's a survival instinct by People's Party. Meanwhile, Pakistan Muslim League Nawaz is sitting like a loyal contractor. They'll accept anything that keeps the chair under them. But even there, the question remains, why would the system make a huge move like removing Shehbaz, somebody like Shehbaz Sharif, who's a yes man, and then go for reshuffling, unless the pressure is real? So where is that pressure coming from? It's not just where the public thinks. Because domestically, nothing has actually moved. You punished people, you crushed protests, you issued sentences, you played with the courts, you tried to fix all the narratives, you made examples out of your own senior military officers, and the country still didn't become governable. That's the whole core truth. You can bend the judiciary into a pretzel. You can hand out military court punishments like party favors. That's what happened in General Faiz Hamid's conviction. You can make an example out of a former senior military intelligence officer or intelligence figure, and still nothing changes. Why? Because the issue isn't paperwork, the issue is legitimacy, and it has always been. And legitimacy doesn't come from press conferences or anything else, it comes from political space. This whole thing is basically proving something brutal. You can't run Pakistan on denial forever. That's what it is hitting the system. Now enter the second big illusion, national government. After the Wonder Boy, every time they run out of options, they throw national government as if it is a medicine, as if new cabinet lineup will magically fix the country, as if problem is who sits in the ministry and not who owns the state. The funniest part is how they define national government. Break few PTI people, give them portfolios and call it unity. That's not unity, that's hostage management. And that's why the demand keeps coming back. PTI should disown the social media hardliners, disown the Inqilabi brigade, disown this whole anger, disown the resistance vibe. This whole Inqilabi brigade has been given punishment of, more than 40, 80 years. They want, disown everything so that table becomes safe for all the 4 people who wants to face one person, Khan. Okay, let's assume PTI does it. Then what? One meeting, one photo, one soft statement. And then what happens if after all that something still explodes outside beyond your control? Who takes the responsibility? That's why this entire disown and we'll talk demand is not a peace offer. It's a trap to transfer risk so that Khan could be the face of it, what is about to happen internationally. Now look at the week's real tell. The 5 elders idea floating around. The suggestion that the 5 big figures sit together and settle things. Even if you treat it as a political theater, it accidentally reveals the truth. They are quietly admitting that the crisis is not government versus opposition. It's Khan versus power center. Personal. Between the 2 people. And the more they try to pretend it's a 5 wise men, the more they reveal their fear. Khan has become too big to manage through their own proxies. That's why your Nawaz Sharif, your Zardari, your Shehbaz Sharif names get shoved into this story, not because they are essential to resolving it, but because they can't afford to look irrelevant while the real battle is happening among them. Now this week also had a major trigger point looming over everything. 8th February, the call by Tehreek-e-Tahaffuz-e-Ain Pakistan, including with the Maulanas of the nation, which is very interesting because Saudi is getting involved. We'll come to that. See, people are treating it like a date on a calendar, this 8th February. It's not, it's a psychological fuse. Not because PTI is suddenly capable of overthrowing the state, they are not. But because establishment no longer controls the unpredictability the way it used to. Gandapur was manageable. The next protest style, leadership, this CM Afridi might not be. And that's why you saw panic tactics this week. Ethnic hints, Punjabi versus Pashtun talk, these third-tier politicians, Uzma Bukhari, trying to light a fire they won't be able to extinguish. That kind of narrative doesn't damage PTI first, it damages the state first. And the state doesn't survive long when they start flirting with internal fault lines just to win a short political game. Now zoom out the main players, because this week's biggest pressure didn't come from inside, it came from outside. That's why the talks narrative was started. The world didn't just heat up, it went full unhinged. The recent example is Venezuela. This week, US launched strikes and President Trump publicly claimed Nicolas Maduro is captured and moved out of Venezuela to face charges in the United States. Wow. Whether you love Maduro or you hate Maduro is irrelevant. The point is, a sitting president being taken into military-linked operation and flown out is the kind of headline that tells you that smaller countries only one thing. Welcome to the era where power doesn't even bother acting polite anymore. And if this is the global mood, then Pakistan's confusion isn't just about internal drama, it becomes a liability. This whole internal drama becomes the liability. Because in a disturbed world, weak states get used quickly. Now, connected to the Middle East, the other pressure cooker in our making, UAE trying to act like standalone regional power, has surprised Saudis. This recent standoff between Saudi and UAE, we can't choose. Pakistan can't choose. Even if we given an option, we made a deal with Saudi Arabia, defense deal. Would we enter into that? Into the Yemen conflict, into the Somaliland conflict? Somaliland is again a threat to Saudi Arabia. Saudi Arabia's influence is getting down. Saudi Arabia is feeling undermined, and Israel is benefiting from Arab splits, and Pakistan sitting inside this mess after signing defense and security alignments like it was a harmless business contract. It was not harmless. Because if Arabs fight through a proxy games, the blowback doesn't stay in Gulf. It travels, and Pakistan has already been dragged into side allies. Libya narrative, this LNA connections that we did, a government that is not recognized, a government that is a rogue state, this Libyan National Army, we had a deal with them. A defense deal, the country which has arms embargo from 2011. See, Yemen ripples. Look at that, what is happening in Yemen. Would look at that, what is happening in Somaliland. And the never-ending Gaza discussion that keeps returning like a horror movie sequel. All we did in Gaza move was Gaza peace plan. All we did was just, agree to the basic what Israel wanted. Israel wanted to keep it to the Gaza. It never wanted Palestine to be there, and that's what we did. We crushed Palestine's resistance, to be very honest, all these nations. And now they are worried. Because now the camps are already there in Gaza, and people are going to face the mass migrations. They are going to be shifted to Somaliland. And that's the whole purpose of this Somaliland, to shift people from Gaza to Somaliland. See, and then came the Iran. What is happening in Iran? And that's why I will keep on saying it, that this time Irani regime also favors the Saudi regime. Because Saudi is getting undermined, and if Iran falls, Saudi is not going to stand. See, this week's Iran-Trump dynamic is the scariest part because it mixes internal unrest with open external threat. Trump publicly escalating threats against Iran while unrest simmers creates a perfect toxic combo. It makes every protest look like foreign engineered, and it pushes Iran to respond in a survival mode. And when Iran goes into survival mode, the region shakes. Pakistan shakes too, because Iran destabilizing doesn't just change Middle East politics. It changes border security with us. It changes internal sectarian temperature with us, Balochistan volatility with us, and the entire proxy ecosystem that loves weak states. And now Iran could only be saved. Last time when Trump attacked on Iran, when Trump threatened Irani regime, China and Russia responded. This time China and Russia are quiet. China's Taiwan signaling and Russia's Ukraine priorities aren't separated from Iran then. In a world like this, theaters get traded like chess pieces. Everyone bargains. Small states pay the price. So when Pakistan rushes to Beijing at the start of this year, which they have, it could not be just routine diplomacy. It could be damage control. Because Pakistan tried to play too many angles. Transactional American optics here, which gained nothing. Gulf alignments there, which has gained nothing. And then expecting China to just keep smiling and funding a port while Gwadar port, while everyone else plays proxy around that same port. That's not how multipolar politics works, sir. That's how you get punished. And this is exactly why at the end of this week, talks suddenly feel more serious. Not because anyone is discovering democracy now, not because of that, because the world is becoming unstable. And the Pakistan internal paralysis is becoming dangerous, even for the people who benefit from such paralysis. So they want a settlement, but they want it on their terms. They want Khan reduced, they want resistance diluted. But when the real pressure will come, they will come for the compromise, and the compromise will be simple. Leaving the power center. See, they want PTI to carry the cost of controversial foreign policy decisions, security commitments, regional alignments, while actual power center want themselves stay, protected. And here's the problem. Khan won't sign his own reduction politely. And the power center won't give him the kind of compromise he would need to justify even sitting down. Understand this. So we are stuck. And that's why the week ends the way it started. Noise, signals, denials, mixed messages, fake confidence, real fear. And the fork in the road remains exactly the same. Either Pakistan gets controlled political compromise, real space, real stabilization, real legitimacy, or the state goes for other options. The accident, finishing the Khan factor, which I don't want to say, but that's how it is. A derailment, a forced setup, a mechanized solution, a tighter grip, a deeper polarization. And in the kind of world we are entering, the Venezuela type of world, the Iran type of world, the Saudi type of world, accidents don't stay domestic, they become invitations. So yes, at the end of the week, something is definitely happening. Right now, I could say something is definitely cooking between the power circle in Pakistan and power circle in Pakistan. But until we see the compromise that actually, until we see what the compromise actually cost and who is being asked to pay it, don't call it reconciliation. Call it what Pakistan does best, a new arrangement with old consequences.